listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to our presentation on workflows and dynamic CRM that you never imagined possible. I'm Chad Collette, the Director of Marketing at LedU Partners, and I'm happy to welcome Jody Gilroy and John Wenninger. Jody's a CRM application consultant, and John is a CRM development consultant with LedU Partners. And we're the two speakers who delivered this original presentation at our 2015 CRM conference in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at Miller Park. Jody and John, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Chad.
Hi, Chad. Thanks. All right, welcome everyone. And today our topic, our presentation is CRM workflows that you never imagined were possible. And like Chad mentioned, my name is John Wenninger. I'm a CRM application consultant for LedU Partners.
And I'm Jody Gilroy, also CRM application consultant with LedU. Today's objectives today, we're going to be talking about the topic of workflows. For those of you that are new to workflow creation, we're going to start with just a general overview of what a workflow is and why you might want to use them. And then we're going to kind of explain the process of workflows by looking at a few fictional business case scenarios. So we're going to set the stage with a story and then follow that up with what we call workflow process definition. So this is really building the workflow on a piece of paper and trying to determine what you're solving for actually before jumping into your CRM system. This is an important step in workflow creation. It's defining what you need before you actually build. And then John is going to show you some live workflows that he has pre-built, how they're structured and them in action. And then I'll wrap up each demo with a review of the benefits of that particular workflow. And then at the end, we'll hopefully have given you some key takeaways to go build some workflows within your organization. So we thought we would start the presentation with this Dilbert slide. Every good presentation has one, we believe. So here's a typical business challenge. We thought we would ask the room here, how many of you have worked on projects where you've been asked to create efficiencies within your organization? I'm guessing many of you have. And has anyone experienced the above scenario? I know I personally have. So today we're going to look at how CRM workflows can help you create additional efficiencies and hopefully avoid the above scenario. Now let's move on to what a workflow is.
So workflows are processes that run with basically no user interaction. So they're like an automation sort of process. They're scheduled. They can be scheduled and run independently of other processes. Workflows can be either triggered automatically based on certain events on your entity forms within CRM or from specific conditions, or they can even be started manually by the user. Workflows can increase your efficiencies and reduce costs. They can improve your process consistency and accuracy, and they can improve communication and service to your customers. When you're looking at developing workflows and the steps that you need to take, you can break it down into four main steps. So the first step is to define the need for the workflow. Is there a process that you're doing manually now that you might be able to automate, save yourself some time and trouble by using a workflow? Once you've defined that need, you can map the process. And this is as simple as taking a yellow pad of paper and writing out the steps for what needs to happen after a certain event or certain field changes. You just map that process out so that you can visually see what you need to put together. Step 3 is build the workflow, which is hopefully something that you will get some takeaways today about different ways to build your workflows, and then finally testing your workflow to make sure it's working properly and doing everything that you expect it to do. So today, as I walk through the live demos, I'm going to define and point out these steps as we go.
All right, so beer, brats, bikes, and baseball. Now, those are topics we thought we could all get around in one way or another. So we decided to take this topic of workflows and create fictional business case scenarios for the industries that are popular to the Milwaukee area. Like you, each have a different business issue to solve, and we're going to see how a CRM workflow can help them in their particular processes. So let's get started with beer. Here's a scenario focusing on a sales management process. In this case, the Milwaukee Beer Company regional territory sales managers are required to visit their regional distributors once per week. The territory vice president wants to track the visits and also trigger reminders to the sales team to ensure that the distributors are being contacted at least once per week. John, how could a CRM workflow manage this process?
Okay, so the first step in looking at our roadmap is really defining the need. And in this case, our sales territory manager wants to make sure that the salespeople are visiting important customers on a weekly basis. So this is a process and something that can be tracked within CRM and using workflows. So the first step is that an appointment activity is created in CRM with the regarding set to that particular account. Then the workflow will update a field on that account called last visit date with the date of the appointment activity. Then the workflow will wait for 7 days, and if the last visit date field does not change within that period, it'll send out an email reminder to the manager to say, hey, you need to visit this account. It's been past 7 days. Then after it sends out that email, it waits an additional 3 days, so really 10 days after that first visit, just to see if that visit date has changed in that time period, because these are important customers and they need to be kept up with promptly. And if the last visit date does not change within that time period, then another email goes out to the territory VP to alert them of what's going on. So I'm just going to switch screens over to our test CRM environment and walk through this first workflow. So the first thing is that I'm the salesperson for this account, and I need to mark when I visit or when I have an appointment with specific customers of ours. So the first thing is to look at the customer account. So right now we're talking about the Green Bay Cheeseheads. And so I need to create an appointment for my appointment with this customer. So you go to appointment. And the subject is just visit, and we'll do our start and end time as today. So we save that appointment. Okay, and go back to the account, and we'll see that there's a last visit date, and this was when we had our conference. So we're going to actually see this visit date change when we close that appointment, meaning complete it. We've visited our customer, so that appointment is completed. So we'll complete this. Okay, so now the workflow has just been triggered. So I want to go and show you the back end, the guts of the workflow, so that you can understand what's happening. So to get to the workflows area, you click settings, go to your solutions, and you open your solution. And then within the solution, we want to click on the processes area, because the workflow is a process. And this particular workflow we are looking at is the appointment activity tracking. So I open this workflow up and I can show you what's going on. So the first thing that we look at when we're creating a workflow is, when is the workflow going to be started? And in this case, this workflow runs when an appointment is created, when the record status changes, or when the account changes as well. So it's looking at those fields when it first starts. So the logic, or the guts of this workflow, is located right here. So the first thing it does is it checks to see if the appointment is completed. because we only want to update the date when the appointment is completed. So if the appointment is completed, it updates the last visit date on the account to when that appointment was completed. So now if we navigate back to our accounts and we look at our cheeseheads, we can see that 10/28, that's today's date. Before it was 10/22. So we can see that it updated that last visit date to that point in time. So that's how we can, go back. We just did some testing. We were able to see what's happening. So looking at the rest of the workflow, now it's actually waiting 7 days to check to see, hey, is that last visit going to change again? Because if it does, then we don't need to worry about this. It will stop the workflow. But if it doesn't change, we want to do these emails, sending out to the sales manager and then sending out to the territory VP. So that's what these areas here that send emails out, this is what the workflow is doing. And we can see right now by looking at the process sessions that indeed this workflow is just waiting for something to happen. So that's a great example of updating a record with a related updating a related record when something happens, and then doing some waiting to see if that action or something is completed or updated, so that you can make sure your processes are working correctly. Okay, so I think that's a good spot for us to end that one, and we'll move on to the next, or the benefits rather. Jody.
Thanks, John. Yeah, so John mentioned a few of the benefits here, so we're going to summarize those on this particular scenario. The first one was we were able to update multiple entities with this particular workflow. So in the case of our Milwaukee Brewing Company here, we were able to update it from an appointment activity to an account record. So it's a very beneficial use of a workflow. Another thing that we've seen was the use of automated reminders. So using a workflow wait time, we were able to set up a reminder for a particular activity the sales team needed to do. In this case, go visit their distributor. The next benefit of this particular workflow was that we've seen an increase in team communication. The vice president now can create a view in CRM to view the last visit date of any account, because we're capturing that field. Also, they'll also be able to know when a distributor has not been visited, because he will receive a follow-up email after that designated amount of time. And hopefully, overall, what this has done is improve consistency of customer communications. The company's process was to have customers visited once per week. This workflow hopefully helps them manage that. Okay, on to scenario number 2. And we're looking at bratwurst, a true Wisconsin tradition. So here we're going to look at another sales scenario. This one focused on the approval of quotes for various opportunities, something that many organizations encounter. So in this case, the City of Milwaukee is preparing for its annual Oktoberfest celebration. 3 different food vendors have requested quotes from the Milwaukee BRATS Company in preparation for the event. Quote 1 is worth $15,000. Quote 2, $25,000, and quote 3 at $55,000. Lots of brats. So opportunities with an estimated revenue of $10,000 or greater require manager approval. And then depending on the actual value, different management levels need to approve that quote. So John, could we handle this quote process through a CRM workflow?
Yeah, definitely. And what I'm going to show you is how to put together a very simple approval process, because approval processes can be either simple or very complex depending on what you're trying to do. But the process that I'm going to show you today hopefully is something that is pretty simple to start off. So the first thing that we need to do is, as a salesperson for the Milwaukee BRATS Company, is to go to our opportunities. So I will open an existing opportunity. Okay, so this was actually, let's start a new one instead. That's the one I was using. So we've got brought order is our opportunity. So we just collected some basic information when we first learned about this potential brought order for the Oktoberfest, and so I'll save that. Now, as we learn more from our customers, we learn about, how much brats that they're looking to order, and let's say our first order is for just $5,000. So $5,000, this is one order for a vendor. So there's no need for any approval above that or below 10,000. So we're not too concerned about 5,000. That's a relatively normal order for us. So we just allow the salesperson to continue as needed. So instead of creating new opportunities for different order sizes, I'm just going to manipulate this one order size here, or this one opportunity here, and you can see what happens when I change the estimated revenue. So anything above 10,000, we need approval. So let's change it to that first scenario of $15,000 worth of product. Okay. So the first thing to notice is that we've had a few fields that popped up here. And the way we managed that was by using business rules. So that's kind of the first part of this process is business rules. And basically what happened was business rule, anytime this estimated revenue field changes, looks and says, what's the value there? And if that value is greater than 10,000 in this case, and less than, I think, 20,000, that needs sales manager approval. So it doesn't need, VP or our CEO approval. It's a little bit over what our normal size is, so we just want to make sure the sales manager is involved. So basically, that checks this field to yes, and it also shows this manager approved field. Okay, so this is important because the workflow, when we save here, and the workflow runs, it's going to see that this field says yes, and it's going to send an email out to that sales manager. The one thing that's important to note is that this field here, manager approved, right now in this capacity, I'm acting as the salesperson. I would not be able to change the values in this field because it's being protected by field security, and you can see that with the little key there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this opportunity. It looks like it already automatically saved it for me. So what happened was a workflow ran in the background. So let's go and look at the first workflow that we're using in this approval process, and that is to notify the manager. Okay, so let's open this and we can see what's going on. So this first thing is that the workflow runs on the creation of an opportunity, or when these certain fields change, and those fields are the needs manager approval fields. So there's 3 of those, and anytime those change, this workflow runs to see what's going on. So the first thing it does is it checks, hey, if the needs manager approval, which is this field right here that we just checked to yes, if that equals yes, send an email to the manager that the opportunity needs approval. Okay, so a pretty basic message telling the manager, hey, you've got an opportunity out here that needs your approval, and that's it. Likewise, if we were to change the value of this to, say, 25,000, okay, so notice right here the sales manager switches to territory sales VP, because we said anything over 20,000, we need territory sales VP approval. And then likewise, I think one example was over 50,000. So notice that the fields are going to change. Okay, so yep, we need CEO approval on any potential orders over 50,000. So that's that part is managed using business rules, but in the background we've got this workflow that's providing this notification to the managers via automated email. So pretty nice that you don't have to put that burden on your salespeople to go and search out the probably strapped for time manager to get their approval. This way it automatically notifies them. Now the salesperson has done their job, and basically what they're waiting for is some sort of notification saying that that opportunity is approved. Okay, So now let's switch our hat to being the CEO. So now I'm the CEO of the company, and I've just gotten this email saying, hey, there's an opportunity over 50,000 that needs your approval. And so I click on a link in that email. It brings me back to this BRAT order opportunity. So I review the information, look at what's going on. Everything looks good. So I mark this as approved. Okay. So when I save, now we've got another workflow that basically does the same thing as the first, which is send an email, but now it sends an email back to the owner or the salesperson of this opportunity, letting them know, hey, this is approved or not approved. Usually, and I'll show you here, notifying the salesperson. Typically, in my experience, the only time we really need to send out an email is when something is approved, because if it's not approved, chances are whoever the manager, territory VP, or CEO has gone and talked to that salesperson if something wasn't right and it would need to be, not approved for some reason. So basically we just, for this instance, we've got the workflow notifying the salesperson when that manager approved equals approved. Okay, so pretty basic approval process, but can be very useful because it gives you an approval process but doesn't require you to do any specialized code in order to get that approval process going. So we've got our workflow road map that I basically went through and talked through with you, so we'll go on to the benefits.
All right. So yeah, John, wrapping up the benefits here, you showed the ability to automate an approval process based on quote value. So you triggered out notification based on the estimated revenue of an opportunity. It's probably a very common scenario in most sales organizations. So now you know you can use a workflow to help manage that process, maybe manual for you right now. Another benefit here is the management of tiered approval levels. So we've seen the ability to set up different approval levels based on the value of the opportunity. Additional complexity could have been added here as well by setting up like a sequencing of approvals. For example, first the sales manager needs to approve, and then it triggers a notification to the VP to approve, and then to the CEO for final approval. So you can set up those stepped approval levels if needed within your organization. And then again, similar to the first scenario, we've seen the use of automated email communications. And in general, these communications are going to help to ensure that your team is informed when an opportunity, in this case, is approved and or is needing an approval. All right, so we're going to switch gears now, and we're going to move from sales scenarios into a customer service scenario. In this particular case, members of the Milwaukee Motorcycle Company Owners Group that have a designation of a lifetime membership are entitled, because of their priority level, to priority service assistance. The Milwaukee Motorcycle Company service team members need to be notified when a request comes in from this particular type of member. So John, how should the service team configure their CRM to manage this process?
Awesome question, and I like your switch gear. I don't know if anybody caught
like that
little joke.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
That was good. So this case probably is something that a lot of you watching the presentation may be able to use, because you've got customers and you might have different customer types, and those customers require different levels of service. That's pretty common. The other cool thing about this scenario is we're going to show a child workflow in action. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But just going through the roadmap, a case is submitted by a priority member with a customer type equal to lifetime member. So these are the customers that are a very high priority to us. And when the case, the workflow rather, goes out and changes the case from priority to high. So the default is normal priority. So in this case, we want the priority to change to high because we're dealing with a priority, lifetime member type customer. So that's the first thing it does. The second thing is it changes the or assigns the case to the priority service queue. And then the third thing is that the workflow we'll call a child workflow that will wait 30 minutes and check to see if the case has been resolved, because we want to make sure that this is getting resolved in a timely manner. And if not, it sends an email to the support manager saying, hey, you've got a case out there that needs to be resolved because this is a priority type customer of ours. Okay, so let's hop into our demo. So I am a support member at our Milwaukee motorcycle company, and so I'm in the service area, and I've got a gentleman calling, and he has a question. Okay, so I've already got this. Actually, I'm going to do a different one. Okay. Okay, so I have taken the call. I've opened up a new case because the customer has a question. As we noticed, the priority is normal right now. And the first thing we want to do is identify who our customer is. And so in this case, our customer is going to be Dave, and Dave Pankratz. And I mentioned to everybody in our live presentation that Dave Pankratz was a professor of mine at St. Norbert College in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and he was a really big Harley fan, so I always loved being in his classes, because in the fall when the weather was nice and the leaves were changing, we'd never have class because he'd always be out riding on his Harley, so it's pretty fun. So Dave's a priority customer of ours. He calls up, he's got a leather apparel question. He's looking to order some leather apparel. So basically, that's what we do. We find our customer, we put in the title, and then we click save. Okay. All right. So what happened? Well, the first thing is that we noticed that the priority changed to high on this case. Now, why is that? So let's go take a look at Dave, and we'll see why the priority was changed to high. Okay, so this is Dave's contact record. Contacts are our customers, so we see that he is a lifetime member, and that's checked equal to yes. So that's what the workflow looks for in order to update that case priority to high. So looking at this, anytime a case is created or the customer field changes, this workflow runs, and then first thing it does is it looks at that customer contact, and it looks to see if it's a lifetime member, and if that equals yes, it does a couple things. So the first thing is it updates the case to high priority, which we were able to see. It then assigns that case to priority support. So this is a great example of assigning records to certain people or groups. Then it starts a child workflow that waits 30 minutes, okay? So the first question people had during our presentation was, why do you need a child workflow? Why can't you just do this in the same workflow? And the reason is that there are two types of workflows. One is called a real-time workflow, and the other is called a background workflow. So in this case, this workflow is a real-time workflow. And the reason it's real-time is because we want it to update the record immediately. We don't want to wait around. We want this updated to high priority immediately. And you can't do any sort of waiting in a real-time workflow because it's real-time. It needs to be done now. So that's why in this case we're starting a child workflow. And that child workflow is a background workflow. And all that does is it just waits 30 minutes from, when it gets started, and it says, it checks to see after 30 minutes, is that case resolved? And if it's not, then it sends an email to the support manager. So this is a really great way to sort of automate your customer service to a point where you don't have to, keep your eye on your watch to make sure that you're getting back and getting things done. This automatically tracks that for you and notifies the correct people if things are not moving along as they should be. So great example for customer service cases, that sort of thing.
All right, so moving on to the benefits of this particular workflow. As we've seen, one of the benefits was the ability to do automated case escalation. So depending on a customer's type within your CRM environment, you can set that case to be escalated to a high priority, as we've seen in this example. So Dave was a priority member, and as such, he was escalated to high whenever a case came into our organization. The next benefit we've seen was the use of time tracking. So in this case, we wanted to monitor how long a case had been active, and then set activities to happen after exceeded the 30-minute time frame. You may need to do this in your organization too, or maybe assign it to another person after a certain time period, or send out an alert, or send out an email, multiple things that can be done against that time tracking. We also see the use of an automated case assignment. So you define where you want a case to go based on your criteria. In this case, if the customer was a lifetime member, you were assigned to the priority service group queue. You'll have your own situations based on your own business processes. And then we finally see the use of a parent-child workflow, and John did a great explanation of why you might want to use that because of the differences between real-time and background workflows. So these workflows can handle that as well. All right, now we're on to our fourth and final scenario. And here we're going to look at the management of season ticket holders for the Milwaukee Baseball Company organization. In this particular scenario, the corporate sales team wants to track season ticket opportunities in their CRM system. They're currently doing that today. But as an opportunity is won, they really don't want to retype all that information into the entity that they have created for season ticket holders, again, within their CRM system. So really what they want to do is grab certain fields off of that opportunity entity and pull it over to their season ticket holder custom entity. John, can they do that with a CRM workflow?
Yeah, you can, and this is something that I know a lot of customers really find useful, because instead of having to manually input data, in two different records when you've already manually input that, this can help you automate that process. So in our case, we're using season ticket holder as a separate entity where we're just copying data from the opportunity over. But other cases that you might find applicable is if your organization, after you win an opportunity, if that becomes something like a project, and now you've got all this opportunity or all this data that you gathered on the opportunity, and you want to transfer that over to your project entity, and you don't want to manually do that. This can be a great way to, once you've won that opportunity, hey, go ahead and automatically create that record and transfer that data over. So that's basically what we're doing. That's the need, and this is the kind of the workflow, the roadmap. So a season ticket holder opportunity is created, so the opportunity with the type season ticket holder, and then the opportunity is marked as won because they purchased season tickets, and then the workflow goes out and updates, creates a season ticket holder record with using data from the opportunity. So pretty simple workflow, but also very useful. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is go to the opportunities so we can review that. I will also point out that we've got our season ticket holder entity over here, so we'll check on that as soon as we're done. But the first thing is checking on the opportunity. So I'll click on this, and turns out the Green Bay Cheeseheads want to purchase some season tickets. So we've got season tickets, 100, and we've got, that's going to be worth around 5,000, just as an example here. Okay, so now we've got this new opportunity with 100 season tickets to our Milwaukee Baseball Company organization, and so we've won that opportunity, so we close as one, and we press OK. Okay, so now the opportunity is won. So let's take a quick look at what this workflow did in the background when we won the opportunity. So first thing it does is when it starts when the status on the opportunity changes. So it checks to see, hey, did we win the opportunity? And if we did, it goes out and it creates, or first thing it does is it checks to see, is this opportunity type season tickets, because we sell different things, and one of those is season tickets. So if it is season tickets, then it creates the season ticket holder record using information from the opportunity. So I can quick show you. So this is what our season ticket holder record form looks like. It's we just got some simple things on there right now, but so it just puts the name, the opportunity or the account, and then the revenue that we're expecting from that. So let's go out and see if we have a new season ticket holder record. Okay, and we do, created today, and it's the Green Bay Cheeseheads who purchased, right now I just got one, the revenue is $5,000, and that's who purchased it. So you can put whatever type of information you want to transfer over, or maybe some static information, like as you can see we had the one number quantity, just a static. So different ways, but it's really cool because you can create different records when something changes or completes on a different record type. So that's something that you might really find useful in your organization.
So yeah, the benefits that we've seen here in particular, while this workflow was simple, I think that the benefits for your organization could be a lot more grand. See, just simply by updating one entity from an existing entity, you're really reducing the amount of data entry. So there's efficiency gains there. And you're also going to, by not having the data typed in twice, you're increasing the consistency of the information. Just think about that on an account. One person may enter it one way, and then somebody else may enter that same name a different way, and then you're going to have issues down the line. So it's great to be able to pass data back and forth between entities. All right. So we've wrapped up our 4 workflow scenarios. So now we want to give you some takeaways here so that you can go within your organizations and leverage the use of workflows within your CRM environment. So where do you begin? So the first step, and we've kind of went through this throughout our presentation, but first you really have to define the need. What is your business story? What challenges are you trying to solve for? Where are your current breakdowns in communication? Maybe what processes are you experiencing issues today, or maybe are very manual? So first, really understand what the need is. After you've defined that, that'll pull you into the next step, which is actually mapping your process. And again, this is where you just grab a sheet of paper and a pencil and start drawing it out. What happens throughout the process? Who's involved in the process? What are all the steps? Where are all the interaction points? Once you understand that and you understand what a workflow can do within CRM, you can then just start to pick out where those automation opportunities can exist in what you're trying to build for. So then that, again, brings you into step 3. Actually start building and using workflows within your CRM environment. If you're new to this, maybe start small and build a couple easy ones first and then add complexity over time. And certainly at any step during these processes, there's ample resources out there to help you with workflow creation. CRM UG Community is a great resource. Microsoft Dynamics has ample resources and videos out there on workflows, and your implementation partner can also assist you with that. All right. So we're getting close to wrapping things up. And, reactions to workflow creation can look a little like this. Some of you may be extremely excited about the power that workflows can have in your CRM and business. And others may feel a little intimidated by the creation of workflows. These are very common reactions. Now, hopefully the information we provided you today puts you in the column of more extremely excited than intimidated. So hopefully your reaction is a positive one after watching this session, and you're now a workflow superstar.